7 deadly mistakes that get you rejected from the Ivy League. Last year, Harvard accepted 3.6% of applicants, Yale 3.7%, and here's what nobody talks about. Most of the people they rejected had near-perfect GPAs, near-perfect SAT scores, glowing recommendation letters. They did everything right on paper. So why did Harvard say no? Because on paper is exactly where elite admissions officers stop reading. There are 7 strategic errors that flag an application as forgettable within the first 60 seconds of review. Admissions officers won't tell you what they are. Consultants charge $500 an hour to tell you what they are. I'm going to give you all 7 right now and the exact fix for each one. Mistake hash 1, the trophy collector. Here's a resume I've seen 100 times. President of the chess club, varsity tennis, French Honor Society, National Honor Society, Key Club, Model UN. 3 more clubs you joined sophomore year and never went back to. Admissions officers have a name for this. They call it a laundry list. And it is, without question, a red flag. Here's why. Elite schools stopped chasing the well-rounded student decades ago. What they actually want is a well-rounded class made up of students who are genuinely world-class at one specific thing. They want pointy people, specialists, students with a spike, not a plateau. 15 clubs signals that you are optimizing for a checklist. It tells the reader you are building a resume, not a life. The fix: cut everything down to 2 to 4 activities where you have real depth, not just participation, but impact. Can you point to a moment where your involvement changed something outside yourself? Did you scale a project, solve a real problem, publish something? That's a spike. That's what they remember. Mistake hash 2, the last-minute launcher. Most families believe the college admissions process begins in fall of senior year. Fill out the Common App, write the essay, submit. That belief costs students their shot at elite schools every single year. Here's the reality. Ivy League admissions officers review your academic trajectory starting from 9th grade, not 11th, not 10th, 9th. They are looking for a 4-year narrative arc, evidence that who you are as a senior is the inevitable result of who you've been building yourself into since the beginning of high school. If you start getting serious about your profile in junior year, you have already missed the window for high-impact research mentorships, sustained leadership development, and the kind of multi-year project that signals genuine commitment. The fix: start mapping your trajectory in 9th grade. This is not about creating stress, it's about creating inevitability. The student who walks into senior year with a coherent 4-year story doesn't scramble. They just close the chapter. Mistake hash 3, narrative neglect. Let me ask you a question. If I read your application right now, your activities list, your essays, your letters of recommendation, would I be able to write your biography in 1 sentence? Or would I just see a collection of achievements that don't connect? This is the most common mistake among genuinely high-achieving students, and it's devastating precisely because the raw material is usually excellent. A 4.0 GPA, strong test scores, real activities, and none of it adds up to a person. Admissions officers are reading thousands of applications. They are not detectives. They will not sit down and assemble the puzzle of who you are from disconnected pieces. If your application doesn't tell a coherent story, they will move on to someone whose does. The fix: every element of your application needs to cohere into a portrait of one specific individual. Your essay, your activities, your recommendation letters, they should all be pointing at the same person. Before you write a single word, answer this. What is your brand in 1 sentence? Not your achievements, your identity as a thinker, creator, or problem solver. That sentence is the spine of your entire application. Mistake hash 4, the perfect pretender. 2 types of students make this mistake, and they look like opposites. The first is the perfect pretender, the student who presents a flawless, frictionless life, no struggles, No failures, no complexity, just achievements, stacked perfectly, leading to a pristine conclusion. Admissions officers don't believe this. Worse, they find it boring. The second is what officers at MIT and Yale have privately called trauma dumping. The student who leads with their darkest, hardest experiences, laying out suffering as a bid for sympathy without demonstrating any growth on the other side of it. Both fail for the same reason. One shows no humanity, the other shows humanity without agency. The fix: share difficulty only when you can show transformation. What did you learn? How did it change the way you think or act? The question admissions officers are asking is not what happened to you, it's who are you becoming? Answer that, and vulnerability becomes a strength. Mistake #5, the generic genius. You have a 1580 SAT. You graduated top of your class, and your personal essay is about how you love to learn and always push yourself to go further. You have just described 40,000 other applicants. This is the generic genius problem. High stats get you in the room. They don't get you the offer. At Harvard, over 50,000 students applied last cycle. A significant portion of them had scores in the 99th percentile. Perfect stats are now the floor, not the ceiling. They are necessary but completely insufficient. What separates the students who get in is voice, specificity, the ability to write like a human being who has actually thought about something deeply, not like a brochure for human potential. The fix: write the way you actually talk when you're explaining something you care about. Ditch the $10 vocabulary words. Ditch the inspirational conclusion that ties everything into a neat bow. Tell a specific story. Be strange if you're strange. Be funny if you're funny. Admissions officers read thousands of essays. The ones they remember are the ones that sound like a real person sat down and wrote them. Mistake #6, the AI ghostwriter. This is the newest mistake on the list, and it is becoming more common every single cycle. In 2024, the Common App updated its fraud policy to explicitly include AI-generated content as a violation. Schools like Brown and Duke now require applicants to certify that their submitted work is authentically their own. AI detection tools are now standard in admissions offices, and if your essay scores above 90% AI-generated, it does not go to a second reader. It goes in the rejection pile. But here's the deeper problem. Beyond getting caught, AI writing sounds like AI writing. It's clean in a way that human writing never quite is. It's structured in a way that real thought never quite follows. Admissions officers have been reading student writing for years. They know what a 17-year-old actually sounds like. A sanitized, perfectly structured essay from a student with a B+ in English raises questions that no amount of impressive vocabulary can answer. The fix: use AI as a thinking partner, not a ghostwriter. Use it to brainstorm, to pressure test your argument, to catch structural gaps. Then write the actual essay yourself. The soul of the essay, the voice, the specific details, the honest conclusions, has to be yours. That's what they're buying. Mistake #7, the passion faker. The last mistake is the one that's hardest to hide. This is the student who spends a summer shadowing a surgeon because their parents thought it would look impressive when what they actually love is building mechanical keyboards and writing about them online. The student who lists international community service as a top activity when it was a one-week trip they didn't choose. Admissions officers have been doing this for a long time. They can feel the difference between a student who chose their activities and a student whose activities were chosen for them. And here's what actually works. A student who took a genuine interest, even an unusual one, and pursued it with real commitment is more compelling than a student who performed prestige without substance. The fix: pursue what you actually care about. A student who started a local embroidery business and grew it to $800 in revenue is more interesting than a student who assisted in research at a famous lab without contributing anything. Depth in something real beats breadth in something borrowed. Every time. Closing: 7 mistakes, 7 fixes. The Ivy League isn't looking for the student who did everything right. They are looking for the student who figured out who they actually are and then built 4 years of evidence for it. If you're watching this as a parent or a student right now, tell me in the comments which of these 7 is the one you're most worried about. I read everything. And next week, this is important, especially if you're applying in the 2025 to 2026 cycle. Harvard, Yale, and Brown have quietly reversed course on test optional. The SAT is back, and most families don't know what that actually means for their odds. We're breaking down exactly what changed, why it changed, and what you need to do about it before your application is due. Subscribe so you don't miss it.